What's good, everybody? This is your boy, Bill Mehari here, representing MehariNation Sports Podcast here. Salute to the entire LDBC. Salute to the greater basketball community here today on a cloudy day here in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. But a lot of excitement tonight. Finally, we have traveled through November all the way towards the end of May. And finally, we got the NBA Finals. Now, for a lot of my subscribers today, I'm going to broadcast the entire series. So tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time, on the tip-off of Game 1 of the 2019 NBA Finals, I will broadcast to you Game 1. Give you guys the play-by-play commentary, analysis, stats, everything. So I'm here today to just give you guys a little preview, a little bit of analysis of what I'm thinking about in terms of tonight's series. Obviously, when you look at the matchup here, the Eastern Conference champions, the Toronto Raptors. Hey, what's up, yo, Nanton? EAS, formerly named as John Black Johnny. Thanks for coming in, brother. Appreciate it. Now, when I look at this series between the Toronto Raptors versus the Golden State Warriors, I've been walking around, just scoping, just looking around, thinking to myself, I think this could be a good competitive series. Now, a lot of people have been jumping at the notion that this is going to be a full-on sweep by the Warriors. And the way I look at it is this. I don't see it that way because this series is going to be a very telling sign. Now, here are some little factors in here at the start of tonight's game. Kevin Durant will not play. He's going to be out, according to the reports, and according to this report I got from bleacherreport.com. Kevin Durant hasn't practiced, and he will miss probably the first 2 games of this series. The other reporting news that also came out during the anticipation of the finals is DeMarcus Cousins, who injured his quadricep muscle at the start of the playoffs, will be active today. The question is, will he start? And I'm just trying to figure out if he's going to start tonight. Now, we don't know if he'll start. I think he'll mostly come off the bench. Now, that's going to be a difference. That's going to be a game changer for me because with DeMarcus Cousins in the lineup, in the event when he has a chance to play, that's going to change things. Duke, what's up, brother? How you doing? Thank you for coming in. Now, the one thing I look at that series is this. With DeMarcus Cousins coming into the fold now, it's going to add another shooting dimension to the Warriors now because DeMarcus Cousins can shoot the ball and he can post. Now, he has not forgotten how to shoot. Now, what I expect is Russ is going to be a critical factor for me because he's been out throughout the rest of the playoffs nursing that quadricep injury. And I thought he was going to be out entirely for the playoffs. Now, since he's going to decide to play tonight, this is going to be a huge opportunity for the Warriors to try to see what he can do. To Robinson, thanks for coming in, brother. Appreciate it, man. He said Toronto needs Game 1. Yeah, I'm going to get into that. Since because the Raptors are in their first trip to the finals, I expect some nerves coming in. Now, since the Warriors don't have Kevin Durant, they have a good chance. They had a good chance. I wouldn't say a great chance. They have a good chance of taking one of the first 2 games here in Golden State. Now, it's easier said than done, obviously. But for Toronto to try to make the series at least competitive or even have a chance to win a championship, they need to win Game 1 or Game 2. Now, Game 1 would be a huge statement. Now, the way I look at the Raptors is the way that they did a great job with Giannis, though, bro. That was a really excellent adjustment by the Toronto Raptors in the last 4 games. What they did was they basically, anytime Giannis tried to drive the ball to the basket, they formed the wall. And they formed the wall. They forced Giannis to take perimeter jump shots, or they would force Giannis to make a difficult pass or make a difficult shot in the paint. Now, against the Warriors, they won't be able to do that because the Warriors don't need to play the one-on-one ISO ball as much because what they do is they move without the ball, they set off-screen picks, and essentially they basically do a great job setting up their teammates to send their star players for open shots. Now, for the Toronto Raptors, the way that they need to win this series is Lowry cannot disappear. Now, this is obviously for all these Raptor players, with the exception of Kawhi Leonard, who was an NBA champion and a Finals MVP back in 2014. This is their first ever trip to the NBA Finals. Now, I expect some inexperience and maybe some nervous energy from the Raptors. Now, they went through a 6-game war with the Bucks. The Warriors swept through the Portland Trailblazers and had about at least 10 days rest in between their finished series and the Eastern Conference Finals. See, the way I looked at it is basically it's like this. I need to see what energy the Toronto Raptors show up with. Are they content of being to the NBA Finals, or will they go in there to try to, be champions? Now, for the Golden State Warriors, they know what's on the line here. You know what I mean? What they need to do is essentially they need to show the Warriors that they mean business and they're going to win a championship. They want to win a championship. Now, the Warriors have a great opportunity in mind of becoming the 5th team in NBA history to win 3 straight championships. Now, and Stu Robinson just said that's exactly why they need game 1. Yep, they need to put doubts in the Warriors' mind that they can lose. And they have lost before, but they blew the 3-1 lead. Everyone remembers that. But they need to put a lot of doubt in the Warriors' minds that they're not just playing. This is not just a correlation. This is an actual championship series that you have to get there. You have to take it to win it. And Stu Robinson just made an excellent point. Lowry needs a big series, in my opinion. I agree. Lowry cannot afford to disappear. But I told the co-worker of mine at my workplace yesterday that I just don't trust Kyle Lowry in big moments. Now, he did play well in the last 4 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. But the last 4 postseasons, if y'all know your history about this guy, bad postseasons, bad outings, and basically he just has not made big shots and hasn't made big plays when they needed him, even when DeMar DeRozan was there. Now, the thing is this. They need to at least get Lowry. Lowry needs to average at least 20 points a game in this series. You know what I mean? He needs to have a big series. Now, Pascal Siakam, I don't expect him a lot for scoring, but the intangible part is going to be key. He needs to do a great job defensively, setting the tone, getting rebounds. Marc Gasol, he can't hesitate on open shots. Now, he was a bit hesitant to try to take shots because he was more focused on playmaking. But in this NBA Finals series, he can't do that. He has to look for his shots. Danny Green needs to shoot better. Now, remember, Fred VanVleet had more minutes in the last 3 games than Danny Green because Danny Green could not find his shot. Now, his defensive ability is going to be critical here. He needs to do a good job of basically shadowing Klay Thompson off of them bigs and make him take tough jump shots. And if he makes those tough jump shots, so be it. But Danny Green needs to play like what he played in 2013 when he was with the Spurs. Hit open jump shots and open up the floor spacing. Now, the bench needs to also contribute too. Powell, VanVleet, the rest of them guys off the bench need to contribute. Now, I want to give a huge credit to the Golden State Warriors bench because the Warriors bench, even though they were not scoring as much, what they basically did was they helped make plays and they gave the Warriors starters energy. You know what I mean? In the last few games of that, in the last 2 games of that conference finals, the bench outplayed the Warriors. The bench of the Warriors outplayed the Blazers in the final 2 games. You know what I mean? So they need to make sure that the bench needs to make sure that they give the starters enough rest too. Exactly. The Raptors have trouble scoring. Yeah. The thing is, they sometimes, when they go through rough stretches, they sometimes rely on Kawhi Leonard to bail them out too much. Now, the health of Kawhi Leonard and how much time they're going to put him on the floor is also going to be key. Because remember, in Game 3, he injured his right leg on that left-handed jam in that double overtime game. Now, the Raptors did a good job of managing Kawhi Leonard's minutes throughout the regular season, but they basically put his minutes on overdrive in the playoffs. Now, the way I look at it is this: the Warriors need to make sure to lock in on Kawhi Leonard and force the other guys on the Raptors to beat them. Guys like Lowry, Green, Siakam, Gasol, Powell, and Fran Fleet, and also Ibaka too. Okay? They need to make plays and hit open jump shots. If they don't, they will lose. It's as simple as that. And Duke just said, watch my word. As long as the Warriors have Clay, Steph, Green, and Andre, and Iguodala, it's going to be a long series. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And make no mistake about it. When Durant comes back in this series, it's going to be a much more intriguing series because now when you get Durant back into the fold with the matchup with Kawhi Leonard, we're going to be in for a classic NBA Finals series. If the Raptors can at least get 1 or 2 victories in the belt. Okay? Now, the way I look at the range of the series, if you ask me, okay, I think this is going to be I think the Warriors will win this series in 6 games. I think the Warriors' overall talent is going to be a bit too much for the Toronto Raptors. But Duke actually makes a good point. Draymond Green gives Leonard fits. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because Leonard scores in spots, but he's also good at creating his shot, and he can beat Draymond Green off the dribble. And when you go at Draymond Green, he has shown that he's not as best as a man-on-man defender, especially against forwards who can beat him off the first step. Okay? Now, if the Warriors decide to put the matchup of Draymond Green against Kawhi Leonard, I think that favors the Raptors. I think Leonard will have his time with Draymond Green. I don't believe Draymond Green can guard Kawhi Leonard under any stretch of the imagination. Feel me? So I see this as a 6-game series in the favor of the Warriors. I think the talent of the Warriors and their experience in those situations in the NBA Finals is going to be too much for the Toronto Raptors. But we'll see which Raptor team starts to show up in Game 1. Are they content of being here in the finals or actually going to get there and compete and send the message to the Warriors loud and clear? Listen, if you're going to win this championship, you're going to have to earn it. All right? That's the way I kind of look at it at this point. So, y'all hold on just 1 second. I got to take care of this call real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. So just got to take care of a little quickie phone call, but not a big deal. Now, for tonight, for everybody in the chat today, for all the people who's involved in the chat, I'm going to do the live broadcast of the NBA Finals right here on YouTube. When the series, it tips off at 8 p.m. Central Time and Minnesota time. So as soon as the Jimmy Kimmel show is done and when they do the pregame stuff all over with and stuff, I'm going to give you guys the play-by-play commentary of the entire series starting with Game 1. And then after the game is done, we'll go through a post-game show and then hopefully and give you guys some more of my analysis of what I saw out there and what needs to be done. But I think this series is going to be a very competitive series. I think the Warriors' overall talent is going to be a bit too much for the Raptors, but I'm not going to count out the Raptors though. So, and Duke asked, is Leonard 100% because he was limping? It looks like he was in pain. Yeah, I was actually watching the last few games of that conference finals, and I think right now, I think something in his leg is probably strained right now. So I think what the Raptors are doing, they're just monitoring the situation and making sure that he's all healthy and ready to go. But there's no question about it, he will play the rest of for the remainder of the series. Now, obviously, the losers of that trade between the Raptors and the Spurs are obviously the San Antonio Spurs. Not just because they traded away Kawhi Leonard, but because Kawhi Leonard was able to make to the NBA Finals. You know, he was able to help lead the Raptors to the NBA Finals, something that DeMar DeRozan never did. Now, you know what I mean? Because the thing is this. Now, I will never, ever discredit the San Antonio Spurs as a franchise, ever. And I'm saying it, and I'm saying this right now on my podcast, right here and now. I will never discredit for the San Antonio Spurs as an organization the way that they have done things in the past. But the way that they handled the whole Kawhi Leonard situation, they did not do a great job of handling that situation very well. You know, constant talks about, is he going to play? You know, is he cowering out? Is he sitting this out? You know, for a first-class organization like the San Antonio Spurs, I'm not really too thrilled of how they handled the situation. Now, it could it be that they maybe people in Kawhi's crew wanted him to go out to leave San Antonio? We don't know. You just have to read the reports and analysis. But the way I look at it is, you know, they don't look too good in this instant, because if Kawhi Leonard leads them to a championship, and it's going to really hurt. It was going to really hurt the Spurs in the long run. Yeah, and the Spurs, they did not handle it correctly. They didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. And you had teammates who were basically, you know, they were all up in his face in that infamous players only me and say, like, are you really hurt, or you just don't want to play? And then when Tony Parker made the comment about his injury in the 2013 finals, it was a really telling sign. Not just because that he sold the sword, but salute to Steven Jackson for this point. He said that Tony Parker will not say anything like that unless if it's directed by Greg Popovich himself, because Steven Jackson came from the Spurs, won a championship there, and knows the Spurs system from the inside out. Okay, so when Steven Jackson says that Tony Parker will not say this unless if it's directed by Greg Popovich, then you know that there's something behind the scenes there from the players' comments of the Spurs that led to Tony Parker saying those things to Kawhi Leonard. And when that happened, it broke the straw off the camel's back and ended the relationship between the Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs. And there was no chance for him to coming back. And now, since they're now in the finals, I mean, it's looking real, real bad. I'll tell you that much. So that's just pretty much what it is. But it's not about that. It's about the series in fact. So once again, I got the Warriors in six games. I just think that the talent of the Warriors is going to be a bit too much for the Raptors to contend with, unless if they do whatever they can to try to, you know, control the 3-point shooting, which is not going to happen. I don't see this being the series is going to go 7 games. Stu Robinson says Pop likes to control everything, in my opinion. I do agree. Bob is an old school breed kind of coach that works within a system. But if you buy into a system, he gave you some leeway. Now, the way what he did with Kawhi Leonard is, I think if Pop would have handled this a little bit better, maybe Kawhi would have probably stayed in San Antonio. But that's just talking from an outside point of view. So, but all the talking and all the stuff to the press really didn't make things work. They really didn't work things out real well, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, the Spurs are the losers in this trade. They trade away their best superstar since Tim Duncan, and now they had to go back to square one with LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. You know, that's just how it is. So I'm going to go ahead and end the pregame show. I will be back at 8 p.m. Central Time for the broadcast of the 2019 NBA Finals between the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors. Will the Toronto Raptors win their first ever championship for the country of Canada, or will the Warriors make history and become the 5th team in NBA history to win 3 straight championships, joining the ranks of the Minneapolis Lakers of the 50s, the Celtics of the 60s, the Bulls of the 90s, and the Shaq and Kobe Lakers of the early 2000s. So what will happen? What kind of stories that will be unfolded in this series? We will find out tonight. But come in 8 p.m. Central Time on my channel, and you will hear the play-by-play commentary of Game 1 of the 2019 NBA Finals. So this has been MehariNation Sports Podcast for the pregame show to the 2019 NBA Finals. Salute to the entire LDBC. I'll take you guys later on tonight.